don't like giving my opinion on that because women don't like what I say. But you're old. Like if you're old, you go down in value. I don't care, and I don't care what nobody says. I mean, unless
Oh,
you're
shit.
an anomaly, if you're in your 40s and you can still have a healthy pregnancy and your blood levels is fine and you're doing great, but it's not the average woman. So a woman can sit up here and individually speak about herself all day being in her 45 50s, and she's this baddie and has all this value and she can pick and choose the man that she wants, the perfect man, and wait and wait. But in reality, I don't think it's, I mean, I don't really like speaking to that because I don't think women, I do think women do lose value the older they get. And so if that's what the world says about them, it's what they say. And I think that's generally true.
Let me ask you this: do you think men lose value the older they get?
No,
Okay.
I
Why do you
don't.
think
I
a
think they
man
get
don't?
better the older they get.
Okay, why is that? Just to paint the
I
picture
mean, just
of
how
what
we're
you're
made
saying.
up. You know what I mean? We birth children. We go through so much. We're resilient. We women have a lot of responsibilities in life. Like the way the woman said it on the like I remember what she was saying. It's like we gotta do our hair or this or that. No, that's the superficial things. That's not what a woman is. Like those are the superficial things. Those are not the things that men are looking for. That's not a man is not looking for a full face beat, a weave, a this, a this, a that, a that. She's saying, I gotta go get all this, but then I gotta get matched up with a basic man. I didn't like that. But no, I don't think men, I think that men typically get better as they get older because they can continue to have my homeboy, 67, just had two twins. Women can't do that. We're not made like that. So our bodies start breaking down really young, depending on how we start our life. It's a lot of women, we can get started at 13, 14 years old, some of them. So you never know, depending on the woman. But yeah, typically women in health, yeah, they go down quicker than men.
Is there anyone that disagrees with what DJ say right now? Okay, as I would like you to speak on that because I think it's important to kind of highlight this so we can try to gain understanding. Because maybe one of y'all may sound a little bit more logical depending on your perspective. So let's go ahead and paint this picture. And when you paint this picture, make sure you paint it well because in order to get somebody to buy into whatever it is you're saying, you gotta make sense. So go ahead, Angela. I'm not saying you're not going to make any sense, but I think it's important. That's how we get understanding, man. Go ahead.
You asking a lot, JR.
The first thing I want to say is just right off the bat, really quick, is women definitely outlive men. So that theory in itself is a lie. Like I don't know why you say because we
I thought he
outlive.
said Angela. I thought Angela was supposed to be answering.
Excuse me, please do not interrupt her. She
And
Yeah,
Aisha,
but that's not.
I didn't say anything
All right.
about outliving. We were talking about value as a whole in the entity in the space of dating.
Boy, it's obvious y'all can't
So
follow
outliving,
directions.
yes, that's different. But
Jesus
we're not talking
Christ.
about outliving. But health wise, I see a lot of just
You went into the health aspect, and we're definitely healthier. We definitely go see the doctor. We definitely
Now
take
we're
care
gonna
of
get off the rails because they
it.
can't follow directions.
The dating because there's a lot of men
All
out here
right. So
in the closet. They need to be put up. All men do not have value. All men that have money have value, and there are few and far between. So like these all men just standing out in the club with bottles and chain, we're not interested in them. We're not dating them. We don't want them. We don't want the dudes that's out here taking the honey packs. I don't know what kind of old men you running into out here, but they're not all millionaires, and we don't want them.
well, I don't place
Not
value on a man as far as money though. So that's not my mentality.
but do you so you said
It's
you just
not money that I'm speaking of at all.
Angela, you know the question
what
was?
value could an old man bring? How old are we talking?
It's gone. She gone. She don't.
Angela, can you answer that question,
I
please?
hear the question. I'm not trying to convince anyone of my point. I'm here to listen and just try to ask.
Good God.
I
All right,
do.
hold on, y'all. Hold on. Like I do want to say this, right? So I take pride in listening. You know, the older I got, I've understanding the importance of listening, right? And sometimes I always say this is that in order for us to be able to learn, we have to be able to listen to the things that we don't agree with. And then we have to be able to see if it makes sense. You know, our mamas, society, culture, whatever it is that you got your learning from, it may have taught us wrong. So the only way we're going to be able to kind of balance our perspectives and our ideologies if we intake more data and the data that we don't agree with. So we have two different positions here. You know, one saying that the older you get as a woman, you lose value. We have another position whereas that women don't lose value. Let's take it out of the club. Let's take it out of like being real specific, but let's just generally speaking, let's really unpack this. I don't want this to get personal where we just attacking each other, but I really want to get somewhere with it because even if we don't agree, maybe it's something that we might can sleep on or we can think about for the future, and maybe it might be able to help us um, in our future perspective. So when I think we asking you, Angela, like what, or Aisha, whichever you guys want to speak at, like why do you think that women don't lose their value, generally speaking, without attaching it to club or some of this other little nonsense stuff?
I disagree with a woman's value being based off whether she can have kids or not when she gets older. And I just say that as like DJ, you said that one of the reasons that you used for making a man valuable was saying that he's one of your friends that is in his 60s, he's still able to have two children. For me, I don't know. I don't see how that makes him more valuable. Um as he gets older. And I don't think that a woman's value is solely based off her sexual appeal to a man, on the level of which her vagina, you know, I correlate value to purpose. So if we're talking about how much a man thinks I'm attractive as far as marketplace value, it depends on the man. One man, you may have five men that say you're not, I don't think that you meet my needs, and you may have 10 or 15 men that say you do. So I just don't agree with it.
Yeah, and
I
that's
thought
fair, but more
I
or
thought
less
you
what I'm
said
saying
I
is
thought you
being
said
Hold on,
that
hold on, hold
desirable.
on,
lose
hold on. Hey, hold on. Let's let DJ
value.
respond to it. Let's let the ladies have it for a second.
Okay.
I was speaking of still, so I'm still stuck in the on the video, right? So I'm stuck on the video on my response, and my response again to me as it comes to a man and a woman. I think that a woman's body, I'm talking about just everything as a woman gets older. Now, I'm not saying, I said there's a lot of women, I know a lot of women that look bomb good. A lot of you, I don't know how old y'all are. I don't even know if y'all are in y'all 40s. Y'all look all 30. So, so I'm just saying for the women that are my age, I know a lot of women that do look good, but that's a small percentage, is what I'm saying. And in the space, if they can choose, I get men that say I look younger. But if they can choose, men, I mean, especially it's a 45-year-old. Let's just take who's single. I don't think Dad is or Hink, but let's take maybe Luis, and Peef, straight like that maybe. If you could take these three gentlemen, right, handsome gentlemen, if they can choose a 30-year-old woman over a 42-year-old woman, all I'm saying is they probably gonna go with the 30-year-old woman. Now I'm not saying that they won't go with the 42-year-old woman. But Humble Dad mentioned something earlier, and I think the third thing he said was sex on the marriage thing. He mentioned the sex, and that poom poom do get a little changey. Now I'm not saying the men, y'all don't have to go take those pills and stuff too. I know that stuff happens as y'all get older. I don't know who needs them and who doesn't. But all I'm saying is, in a lot of ways, women do so much heavy. What I'm talking about, Angela, more or less, is like a lot of women are majority of women In the hospitality, food and beverage, nightclub industry that are the employees are men or women.
All right, women.
Absolutely. Bottle service around the world is who? Men or women?
Women.
Right.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is coming from living in Las Vegas, watching these women get worn and torn down. So by the time they ready to settle down, if they didn't get married when they was young, had baggage on the kids, we're talking about value. So even if you got your ex-husband's 3 kids, you still got 3 kids that you're the primary mother. And then you got the dad that is a single man all outside.
Hmm.
Yeah, you got the kids, but he's posing as the single man outside. So, and this, all I'm saying is I just see the men having more value. That's all, as they
Right.
get
So
older.
yeah, so I've always said this as well, is that there's a reality that you may see, and there's a reality of Earth, the world, the
Yeah.
city, and then there may be a reality of the man upstairs if you are religious, right? So you have all these different realities, and I think that a person that thinks more logical can understand how all these things work. So when you think about value, to me, I possess value. I understand when I go out into the real world, my value may not be looked at as valuable to some. It depends on the person, and you won't know until you talk to the individual. But then there's also a value of the man upstairs, because I do believe in a higher being. So I know that there's a reality that he wants for us to be able to exist in. So a logical person able to factor these things in to be able to determine like what's best fit for them. But some people can't operate on different frequencies. They just have the reality of self. And so when they hop into these marriage relationships, and that's why we call them delusional. And I think both men and women are delusional in a lot of cases, because I've heard
Yeah.
some men who are delusional just as much as I heard women are delusional. And that's how I want to say it may be common sense, but I don't think it's common sense. I just think that it's not meant for everybody to be able to look at the world in this way. And so that's why I'm satisfied with how I was designed, because I'm able to operate on a lot of different frequencies. I'm able to take myself out of situations and look at it from different lenses to determine if how my lens is adjusting to what the situation that I'm in. And it's a possibility that I could be wrong and I realize that I'm wrong. It's a possibility that I may not even notice that this is happening, but if I'm hearing it from a lot of people, then it may be happening and I just don't realize it. I mean, it's not a guarantee if I'm gonna even realize it. But who's operating on these frequencies if they can't? And a lot of folks are not. So that's why I think a lot of people bump heads in a lot of situations, because some people brains are just fried, or they just not gonna come. They're not gonna be able to figure it out.
JR, isn't it true that most people don't know their own number?
Number, you mean as far as looks, value, what?
Right, on the scale.
Oh yeah, I think a lot of people, but that number is still subjective, but there's a reality. The earth and the world has this number. Like I can look at a man or female and be able to say that the world views them like this, and I can accept that, right? I understand that I'm a handsome man, but I may not be handsome to everyone, but I'm okay with that because I can't change me. It is what it is, right? But that's not going to change how I view myself. I'm still going to walk around. I'm a handsome guy, and it is what it is. But I understand how the world looks at things, and I may not have I may have one thing or 5 or 6 things, but it's still going to be situational. So you have to be able to um, figure it all out and not take it personal, because we all take things personal and then we respond and we look crazy because we respond that way. But the world has a frequency, and you have to be able to understand you can't change the value of how the world views people. There's a look for a woman, there's a look for a man, there's attributes for a man, attributes for a woman. There may be a career wise. All these things it's so much data that you have to be able to place, and people just can't figure it out. but it's not meant for everybody to figure it out. So the people that are, guess what? Those are the people that you see are the coaches and the teachers and the role models, and you know the hierarchy. They're respected by a lot of men because they're able to internalize all of this data and be able to put it where it needs to be. That's how you have people be able to play with people's minds, because they have an understanding that's higher than a lot of people. But again, it's not meant for everybody. If we was all the same, this world would be boring. So if you ain't got it, I suggest you attach yourself with somebody that do make happy, because that's probably the only way to be able to survive on Earth. Otherwise, you're just gonna be out here delusional.
Facts.